Stage. Goddess of darkness. Greetings and welcome. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Samima Aziz. I am the oldest child of Akbar Muhammad. My sisters and brothers, I am honored and grateful and feel very privileged to be with you in this moment. We are celebrating my father's 80th birthday, a blessing in itself. In 1979, our beloved minister and leader delivered a lecture entitled Diamonds Among Men. During the course of that lecture, the minister shared that we are given for our advancement a healing and we are given for our advancement and healing men and women who are born to advance our liberation. I believe that my father, affectionately known as Brother Akbar, is such a man. Thank you for your time this evening. I know that we're all very busy in our lives, and your time is valuable. And I appreciate and we appreciate you taking the time and choosing to be with us this evening to celebrate with my father. Thank you, Brother Adima and the tech staff for helping me to take an idea which started as just a prayer. I wanted to do a morning prayer with my father, and we decided that we were going to do something on a grand scale. And right now in my home, there are lots of cameras and uh, wires and laptops and a lot going on behind the scenes. So we are grateful, we are thankful to Allah. And so now let's sit back, relax, and let's celebrate. I am going to introduce our host for the evening, who is my friend and brother. I've known him since my days as a student at Howard University, and he was always fiery, cheery, and a soldier for this cause. So I'd like to introduce to you, without further ado, my friend and brother, Jamil Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. Wow, thank you, Sister Samima. And brothers and sisters, if we start out right, we should be able to end up right. So, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, whose proper name is Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. We're going to start tonight's program by Allah's grace and get right to the issues at hand, because there's so much we can do and so little time in which we can do it. So, brothers and sisters, let's prepare to open up properly with prayer. And so we're going to call forward at this time another of our dear brothers and friends, all the way from Africa, from Ghana to Chicago to New York, wherever he is. He's always a dear brother of ours, and he's with us tonight to start us off. Our brother Imam Ahmed Rufai. Imam?
Assalamu alaikum. We thank Allah for this moment, and we thank Allah for the life of our brother Akbar Muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters, I remember when I first met Brother Akbar in Ghana during the 1985 World Tour of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We fell in love with one another right from that moment. And Brother Akbar has shared with me so much since then, as a brother and like a father. Matter of fact, he is the father-in-law that I never had. But one of the things that I'm reminded every time I see him, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, Khairun nas man tala umruhu wa hasuna amaluhu. The best of humanity is the one who, no matter how many years he spends on this life, he spends it in the good of humanity, serving others. The other part he said is Khairun nas anfa'un nas. The best of humanity is the one who is beneficial to humanity. I remember in 1992, I was in Nigeria and I found out that there was a conference on reparations taking place, international conference, and the Nation of Islam was not represented. I called Brother Akbar in Accra and I told him about it. He was on the next flight to Lagos for that conference. This is the spirit that I saw in my brother, a diplomat extraordinaire. We thank Allah for his life, and we ask Allah to continue to bless him, to let him be the shining light wherever he is. And with this, please join me in the prayer for Brother Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم إننا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا ونسألك تمام العافية ونسألك الغنى عن الناس يا رب العالمين اللهم اجعل يومنا خيرا من أمسنا واجعل غدنا خيرا من يومنا واجعل خير أعمالنا وآخرها وخير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا يوم نلقاك وأنت راضي عنا. We are asking Allah to make our days to be days that is filled with faith in Him, to make it days that will be filled with goodness for others, to make our today better than our yesterday, to make our tomorrow better than our today, and to let our last moment be the best. For we are told that the best of our days is the one that we spend in the last moment. We ask Allah to continue to bless Brother Akbar, to bless his family, and to bless all of us who are here. We ask Allah for his continued blessing and guidance on the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and all those who are helping him in the achievement of the goals for which Allah has placed him on this earth. Oh Allah, we thank you for this moment and we ask you to bless all of us with great health. We start with your name and let us end this celebration with our praises and acceptance and glorification for you. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.
On June the 9th, 1942, in Hampton, Virginia, where today City Hall is at. It was an area called Dog Bottom, and all the black people lived there. And my father joined the military and married my mother, and I had an older sister who just passed recently, and we lived in Dog Bottom. And the amazing thing is I can remember the house. I remember the tubs that they used to bathe us in and the buckets we used to go to the bathroom in because my mother wouldn't allow me to go to the outhouse. And so we went to the bathroom in the bucket. She took it to the outhouse and poured it out. So my father, being in the military, joined the military. We had to move or something. And my aunt, my mother's sister, who was older, because my mother was the youngest of four girls and one brother, all of them from Hampton, Virginia, the Brown family. And what happened is when the military shipped my father, we had to move. And my aunt, who was like the second oldest, moved to New York, to Jamaica, Queens, got her job cleaning houses. And my mother always argued with her, you're the only one with a high school education and you want to clean white folks' house, you can get a job in the telephone. And my mother used to argue with her about this all the time. But she just held on to the house cleaning job, brought my mother to New York and us. We moved into the house with her on Glassboro Avenue in Jamaica. I used to remember the exact address, but now it's faded from me. And my mother worked as a house cleaner in Kew Gardens for a while, but always was looking for something else. And she finally ended up in the garment district. And she wasn't a sewer, but she was a presser of dresses and so forth, because she just refused to clean houses. She didn't want it. And finally, we had ended up moving back to Queens for some reason, I don't know. But what I do remember is that we absolutely had rats, and they had always planned on the rat traps and whether we were going to get them in this tenement building that we lived in. I remember that vividly. And our play area was on the fire escape. And what happened is my mother used to put the lye on the fire escape to keep it away from us. And I opened it one day and looked at it. I don't know how old I was. I may have been 4. and it looked like rice to me. So I ate some. And I was screaming and hollering. My mother scraped it off of my tongue, rushed me to the hospital, and they did something and so forth. That's why I can take things extremely hot. I like my coffee real hot. Otherwise, I really don't taste it. And my food. Maybe that's why I like hot peppers and so forth, because it really doesn't burn me like the average person because of the lye. I remember this story vividly. Rushed me to the hospital, they did something and so forth. That's why I can take things extremely hot. I like my coffee real hot, otherwise I really don't taste it.
Assalamu alaikum. Brother Akbar, I hope you and your family are doing well. Alhamdulillah. I want to talk about remembering you because I have a lot of remembrance of you. And it goes back to when I first met your father. I remember him coming to our house in Cherry Hill. I can't remember how old I was, but your father had his uniform on. He was still in the military. And he had all these stripes on his arm, and ribbons and decoration, And your father, he always had his chest sticking out. He was, and I was amazed. I said, my Uncle Lawrence. My mother said, yeah, this is your Uncle Lawrence. This is my brother. I said, wow. And I think he spent the night. And when he woke up the next morning, he fixed fried potatoes. And I never had fried potatoes the way that he made them. He put a lot of pepper on them. I mean, to this day, I haven't had fried potatoes like your father made for me a long time ago. And then I think the first time I met you was at family reunion at Mommy Alma's house, and I say, wow, this brother here is, he got it together. Because you know how all the nation brothers dress real well and look real sharp all the time, right? And, you had your chest out too, just like your father. You look really, really good. And I was impressed the way you tell us stories about places you went in your life. And, and I said, wow, this brother can talk really well. I said, if I could just talk like my cousin, we said, Larry X, and so it's been a pleasure knowing you and your family. And I hope Allah continue to bless you through the rest of your life, bless you and your family. Like I tell my children, every day is our birthday because when Allah give us our soul back in the morning, we have another chance to ask for forgiveness and be grateful and thankful to Him for all that He provides for us on a daily basis. And we never know when we wake up in the morning, whether we'll see the night. And when we see the night, we don't know if we'll see the next morning. So for the rest of the days that you have left, may Allah bless you and your family and continue to bestow His mercy on you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
In the 5th and 6th grade, young men at that age or young boys were feeling their oaks and girlfriends. And there was this brother named Ernest who lived in the projects, and I used to pick on him. I was like a bully. And I used to always pick on him at lunchtime. And this particular day, he was in the swings. You swing in the playground. And I told him to get out of the swing. I wanted to swing. And they used to call me Junie. That was my street name, because I was a junior, Lawrence James Prescott Jr. And so he said to me, Ernest said to me, and I remember Ernest had a brother. He said, Judy, I'm sick of you picking on me. And I said, well, what you gonna do about it? Then he put his hands up. And we got into a fight. The whole school lunchtime was there looking at this fight, a major fight. And none of the teachers came out to stop it. And he whipped my behind. He beat me real good. So after the fight was over, I went home to wash up and change clothes and went back to my class. And when I walked in the classroom, the classmates I had, they all cheered for me. Yay! I was clapping. And somebody said, boo. And I turned and said, boo for your mother. And, but I was hurt and embarrassed, but it taught me a valuable lesson. And very rarely did I ever share this with anybody. I didn't share the lesson, but it stuck with me. You know, you can't be a bully. And if you pick on people, one day they will get tired of it and they will come against you and they would be the winner in the end.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I know this is your first visual of me since whenever. But I wanted to get with you on your anniversary day. That's 8 decades. That's a blessing, my brother. And I'll tell you this, I hope that I can follow suit, because that is a blessing to have made it this far. The journey is long, but it's well worth it. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to you, my brother. And hopefully we'll be seeing each other face to face real soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. All right, my brother. Happy birthday anniversary. Ain't gonna stay long. I'm gonna say one thing. Love you. Peace and love. I'll let you.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to wish you a very happy birth anniversary. May Allah continue to bless you. And thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do in the mission and helping the Most Honorable Elijah Farrakhan. We love you. We hope that you enjoy yourself and may you see many, many more. Assalamu alaikum.
We love you.
Love you, brother Akbar.
We love you, Akbar. Here's your honor ring.
I am Akbar. This is your family. You will be truly nice. I'll never forget the good times I used to have seeing you and your sister now. I know you'll always stay very close to my heart. You'll never be forgotten. Love you so much.
Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
I was blessed.
Happy
I remember I
birthday.
used to have a French class, a black French teacher. But my homeroom class was a man who was going for his law degree, or he may have had it already, George Patrick Sweeney. And what he taught me, to this day, I have those lessons, and I thank God for them. And the time that I was going to go and search them out and try to find them, I didn't. But I know after these years, he's probably passed on. And maybe now with the internet, I could still look up his family. But he had briefs and papers to take to courts and law firms. So one day he asked the class, does anybody know how to use the subway? I knew the subway well because I used to shine shoes. And I used to get on the subway and go down to 42nd Street and Times Square. And I was one of those shoe shine boys down there. It was good to me because I made like $15 a day. And that's like an unbelievable amount of money. And I took it home and gave it all to my mother to help her. And she would always give me $5 back. And so when I was in the class, they said, does anybody know the subway good? I raised my hand because I knew it. The days that it rained and we couldn't shine shoes, we would take the train and open cab doors. I used to go to the Port Authority and people would come out of the Port Authority and try to get a cab. I'd have an umbrella and I would call the cab for them and hold and get in the cab. They would give me 10 cents or 5 cents or a quarter, some of them. And so the teacher, Mr. Sweeney, used to send me to take his law papers downtown. And I'll never forget, he used to send me down the Broadway and I had a part-time job down on Broadway, so I knew lower Manhattan very well. And but the things that he taught me that really stuck with me. Number one, he taught me how to read the New York Times. He said, when you grow up, you should read a newspaper every day, and his was the New York Times. So to this day, I still read the New York Times. Then he said how to fold it on the subway. I'll never forget how you fold the Times, because the Times is a big paper. You know, you got to fold it. And he talked about the sections of the Times and so forth, and it stuck with me. But he loved English literature. And so he would teach us, we had to memorize poems like The Charge of the Light Brigade, The Highwaymen. And there was one that he always quoted. There was one that I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely seas and skies, where the wind kicks and the or water blows or something. This was one of them. And he would drill it in us. One of them he drilled in me, and I used it when I became a Muslim in my lecture. And it's good for what's happening right now. It goes like this. What a little thing would make the world go wrong. A smile too short, a laugh too long. Then comes the blinding rain, and things are never the same again. And but I never found out the author. So I was with these professors recently, and one of them teaches at Emory. And he said, I can find out who it is. So he went into his thing, whatever he did, but it wouldn't come up. He said, that's strange. I can't find the author of this, because he has something where you go and you just have to put in a few lines of the poem and they give you the author. But I thank God for him. He gave me an opportunity to travel all over the city, go into buildings and whatnot.
Wow, amazing, amazing history from our honoree tonight, Brother Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad, on the occasion of his 80th birth anniversary. And so we are celebrating. You already see that the program is off and running, and you can hear me now, and that's a blessing, isn't it? So we're going to move forward into the program with all deliberate speed and get right to the heart of the matter. Brother Akbar has been all around the globe. I don't know how many countries there are on earth, but I guarantee you, Brother Akbar's passport book must be about this thick, because he's been to nearly every single country on earth. So we're going to go now to a brother who helped Brother Akbar establish a very important aspect, not only of the daily life of Ghana in West Africa, but also a very important strategic aspect to the Nation of Islam in us spreading this message of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan all over the globe. So I want to bring to the microphones my dear brother and yours. He used to be known as Brother James Muhammad, but now he is Brother Halim Muhammad, and we'd like to welcome you, brother, to come forward with your recollections of the Ghana mission. Brother Halim, are you there?
I'm here, my brother. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Happy birthday, Brother Akbar. It's a privilege and an honor to participate in this celebratory event on your 80th birthday. May Allah continue to bless you with many, many more years ahead. My intent, as Brother Jamil has stated, is to try and give some historical background to the creation, the genesis, if you will, of the African mission of the Nation of Islam. I have known Brother Akbar for over 20 years. I met him basically in the beginning of the 80s, almost when the minister started rebuilding the nation. We have been friends, and I have worked with him on many projects over that length of time. So when he was assigned to the position of international representative over the international mission of the Nation of Islam, headquartered in Ghana, I requested to our brother minister if I could go and assist him. And I will be forever grateful and thankful that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan agreed to my request, and I became the assistant to Brother Akbar to establish the African mission of the Nation of Islam headquartered in Accra, Ghana. It's truly been an awe-inspiring, life-building effort for me that has transformed my life immensely, and I will be forever grateful to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for allowing me to assist brother in that effort. My first international journey with Brother Akbar was to the country of Libya for the 20th anniversary of the Jamahiriya by Muammar Gaddafi. Brother Akbar took a delegation of nationalists and press people to Libya for that celebration, and it was an eye-opening experience for myself and all those who attended that event. There would be another trip to Libya in 1996, where we accompanied the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he accepted the Gaddafi Prize, and we witnessed the opening of the great man-made river in Libya by Colonel Gaddafi. The great man-made river was an effort to irrigate the desert around Tripoli and northern Tripoli to grow food and other items from out of the desert. You can Google it. It is available, The Man-Made River by Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Then we landed in Ghana, and Akbar secured a home, a location, and we worked out of a small office in his home. And he established the NOI Information Center, whereby we were able to impart the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the Ghanaian community. There were many times that Akbar lectured at the mosque in a section called Nima. Nima was considered, today you may call it the ghetto of Accra, but it was the area where many of our youth and our people were suffering economically, and he would go there on many occasions to teach and bring the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to our people in Ghana. As part of that effort, we established the NOI Information Center, and here's another view of it with Sister Maria Farrakhan. This was a center of where we functioned in Accra, Ghana, where people can come and get not only information about the nation, but believers from around the country would send us their tapes. They would send us Essence magazine and Ebony magazine. We couldn't keep enough Ebony and Essence magazines in the shop, as well as, of course, the Final Call newspaper. There was a a trade fair site in Accra, and we established a booth there where we were also able to dispense the information of the nation and to bring the message of Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to our brothers and sisters in Accra, Ghana. Our national officials, of course, made a trip to see how things were going in Accra. You could see Brother Kamal, Brother Leonard, Brother Kamal's wife Fatima, Brother Akbar, Sister Miriam. They're discussing on the coast, in Cape Coast, some of the issues that afflict that area and getting acquainted with our people in the Cape Coast region. Side story on this, I'll get to in a minute, but here's another picture of Brother Kamal and Sister Fatima, President Rawlings, Brother Akbar, Sister Miriam, and Brother Leonard. When we were in Cape Coast, on the way back to Accra, the Cape Coast Road, those of you who have been to Accra, during that time was not a paved road. It was a rocky dirt road. There was an accident on the road and a big commotion as Brother Leonard's vehicle was traveling back to Accra. Being the brother that he is, he stopped his vehicle to see what the commotion was and went over to try and help out in any way that he could. As it turned out, there was a young sister on the side of the road giving birth to a child. And Brother Leonard, I wasn't present, but whatever he did, he helped deliver that child. And here is a picture of the sister with her baby and her mother, and she named her son after Leonard Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Now, how do you get the interest of our people anywhere in the world? To secure the minds and hearts of the people, sometimes you have to use culture. Culture is the best vehicle. And in 1991, there was a Panafest cultural festival in Accra. It occurs every 2 years. Brother Akbar was able to host Public Enemy to perform at that festival to bring Black cultural music to the festival in Accra. But the young people and others were so amazed at the ability to bring Public Enemy there. And you know how Flavor Flav's personality was at that time. they were so imbued with his presence being in their city, they installed him and made him a chief, an honorary chief, just for attending. And here he is with the goat that they sacrificed in his honor, and they made our brother a chief to honor his presence in their country. That was in 1991. In 1993, we couldn't bring Jackson 5, but we could bring Jermaine Jackson. And Jermaine Jackson came. You can see him here with our captain, Brother Mustafa, and he came to Accra, Ghana during the Panafest Festival as well. And he spoke. You can see him on the lower right-hand side here with Brother Mustafa. He spoke at the Budenbury Liberian refugee camp. President Rawlings had opened up a refugee camp for Liberians who were suffering from the civil war that was taking place in Liberia. And our brother went over to the Liberian refugee camp and gave words of inspiration and guidance to our brothers and sisters at the camp. It was a very awe-inspiring experience, and we really thank him for his efforts in coming to Ghana to help us spread the message of justice, freedom, and equality. Dr. Aline brought a team of medical doctors to Accra, and we went up the Volta River and conducted small medical examinations. We could only do it during the daytime because there was no electricity going up to the villages in the Volta River, so we could only function during the day. But during the day, we went up the Volta River, which is located in the eastern part of Ghana, and he and his team performed medical surgery, not surgeries, but medical review of the villagers living along the Volta River, and was an excellent opportunity to introduce the service that the Nation of Islam could bring to Ghanaian people. Now, getting ready for our Savior's Day convention. Spoiler, we did have an international Savior's Day event that occurred in Accra, Ghana. How did we make that happen? Well, we had to travel back and forth to America to inform our people, not just the Nation of Islam, but all Black people, that the Nation of Islam was going to conduct an international convention in Accra, Ghana, October of 1994. So Akbar and I traveled across the country from Boston to New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Reno, Nevada, giving the word that the Nation of Islam was going back home to Ghana, and we were inviting all to come. Brother Akbar would deliver his lectures, and he taught me how to do an auction, and then I would do an auction and auction off the artifacts that we brought back from Ghana, and that is how we financed our journey across the country to make that invitation happen. This was the flyer that was produced for Savior's Day 1994 in Accra, Ghana. As part of our efforts to bring wisdom and knowledge to our people in Ghana, the Sisters of the MGT of Mosque number 11 graciously donated, or found a way to donate, heart measuring machines in Boston that we were able to take back to Ghana and donate to Koalabu Hospital, the largest hospital located in Accra, Ghana. These are some of the machines that we took back, and this lent credibility to the Nation of Islam and to Brother Akbar and what we hope to bring to the people of Accra, Ghana. Now, we are in Ghana preparing for our Savior's Day convention. How are we going to make this happen? It would take a team of people put together to do it, but also we had to bring the hype. We had to bring the excitement of bringing our Savior's Day convention. And one of the best ways to do that, Brother Akbar was able to invite his friend, Dionne Warwick, who had another friend that she wanted to bring, who happened to be Isaac Hayes. And they came to Ghana and they performed for the Ghanaian Olympic Committee. And this was a prelude to our convention taking place in the city. Here they are with President J.J. Rawlings, and they visited the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial, where they took a picture of Kwame Nkrumah and laid flowers at his wreath at the memorial site. They are in a studio preparing for their historic concert held at the International Convention Center in Ghana, which is still talked about today. This is the team that worked with them in the music studio as they prepared for that convention, that event at the International Convention Center. Now the Savior's Day Convention itself, where would we hold it? This is the parade grounds located in Ghana. You can see how wide it is, how deep it is, how big it is. This gives you a sense of how large it is. How are we going to make this happen? We started bringing a staff of people to Ghana to help us create this event, our first International Savior's Day. We had to build our own stage in order for the minister to speak in this huge parade ground. The brother that was in charge of that process was our brother Brian Muhammad, who's now a staff writer for the Final Call newspaper. He was in charge of the brothers who built the stage and the walls around the stage so that we would have security control for the crowds that would be coming. Here are the brothers, the Ghanaian brothers, who participated and helped us build the walls and the stage for our Savior's Day event. When the minister arrived a few days before the main event, he spoke at the International Conference Center, and here he is being greeted by President J.J. Rawlings, and he's being welcomed, where he spoke to an audience of 500 to 600 people, guests and other people who came to hear what the minister had to say to the Ghanaian community. Here in the hall, you will see Mother Tanetta Muhammad, Sister Shirley Muhammad from Boston, Mother Khadija Muhammad, and Sister Miriam. And this is a sampling of the crowd at the International Convention Center listening to Minister Louis Farrakhan. Hakeem Mubudi, known at that time as Don L.E., is here presenting a series of his books to President Rawlings prior to the minister speaking at the event. Sorry. Now is the day of our Savior's Day event in Accra, Ghana, and Brother Ishmael is seen at the podium introducing our minister. And the minister takes to the stage at this historic event, the first International Savior's Day of the Nation of Islam. This was a very historic and beautiful event in that parade grounds where thousands of people came out to hear what the minister had to say. Here are our MGT, who of course were present. And here is President Rawlings with members of his cabinet sitting in the first row. Another view of his cabinet members and other Ghanaians. And of course, you can't have a Savior's Day event without a banquet that evening. And here the minister is preparing to speak at the banquet at the end of our Savior's Day event. These were some of the crowd that came to the event. But Akbar, as you know, is an international representative, and he went to Zimbabwe to meet with President Mugabe to offer our support in his efforts to keep the land to the people of Zimbabwe. But Akbar spoke to the Caucasian farmers. He spoke to the African farmers. And here's a group of people who traveled with him on that effort. Of course, our Savior's Day director, who wasn't the Savior's Day director at that time, Brother Adimar was present, Brother Brian Muhammad, Brother Jalil Muhammad from the Islamic, our prayer line. And of course, myself standing in front of the Heroes Gallery in Zimbabwe. Brother Akbar presenting President Mugabe with a gift, the Africana Encyclopedia from Professor Henry Louis Gates. And he was gracious enough to take photos, a photo op with many of the members of the delegation. But Brother Akbar also went to the 7th Pan-African Congress in Uganda, and here he is with President Museveni. At that conference, we met John Garang of South Sudan, prior to South Sudan becoming an independent country. And you can see in the corner here, present was also Kwame Toure. These are the staff members, what I call the team that helped to put the Savior's Day event together. Brother Brian from New York, Brother Lester from New York, Brother Dave from Indianapolis, Brother Dwayne from Pittsburgh, Brother Kareem Ali, Los Angeles, Brother Daniel X Armstrong from Los Angeles, Sister Brenda from New York, and Sister Velma from Baltimore, and our Ghanaian staff, Mohammed Bako, our go-to man on the ground, and 2 Abu Bakrs. This is not the same person. Abu Bakr who worked in our shop, and Abu Bakr who was the Akbar's driver. Here are the members of our team celebrating the birth date of our beloved minister when he passed through Ghana on one of his trips through Africa. This is Sister Brenda with Brother Akbar's oldest daughter, Samima, and Brother Kareem Ali and his mother, Brother Lester, Sister Velma, Brother Dwayne, and Brother Abu Bakr, Brother Akbar's driver, here with Brother Brian. These brothers are no longer with us. They are not present, but they will never be forgotten. They have all returned to Allah along with Brother Abu Bakr, the driver, Brother Lester, Brother Dwayne, and Brother Dave. May Allah be pleased with their work. And I thank you, Brother Akbar, for allowing me the pleasure and the honor of serving with you over all of these years. Happy birthday, and may Allah continue to bless you with many more years amongst us. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. What a wonderful presentation. Very thorough and very detailed. What a great historic opportunity to observe history in the making. Don't go anywhere. As they say in broadcasting, don't touch that dial. We got much more program for you and many more surprises. Let's go back to the tech team. They've got some video guests that you definitely want to greet. Let's go to our next segment.
You have been so much an inspiration to me in my whole life. You've meant a great importance to Public Enemy. Your stories are immeasurable, taking us around the world. The nation has taken us to places in the world that nobody else has ever taken us. And you, of all people, can explain each one of these places that we have gone to and hadn't gone to. And your explanations, your heart, and also, like, thank you. Also, you've shown us perseverance. That's right, with that heart. So we love you. We thank you. 80 more years. And I reach out to you to get more of those great stories, and that, you know, that griot GPS that you provide to all of us. You know, I always tell people, and I've written it in books and said it in speeches, that you know, a lot of people should be paying attention to everything that you say. You are, like I said, an unprecedented resource for us understanding that the strength of us Black folk is the diaspora. And the diaspora, there's no one else that knows it, lives it, and is it better than you. Peace, love. Alaikum, Brother Akbar Muhammad. 80 more years to you, bro. Look forward to you.
And I got a part-time job in the printing place. How I got the job, it was 315 Broadway, downtown. And I was still in junior high school. I had to be in the 9th grade then. And for years, I remember the family that ran it, a Jewish man and his wife. And what they did is they handled what you call cold press type. That's the lead type that you used to drop in. Yeah, that's right. And they used to do the type. People would send them the script. They used to do the type. Then I'd have to deliver it to these places. So I knew places. But their office, the place was 315 Broadway. And the husband and wife, who both ran the business, used to get into vicious arguments. I mean, it was so bad. I thought he was going to hit her or beat her or something, you know, and I would just be quiet because there was only like 5 or 6 people that worked in the place. But what stuck to me is they would argue and they would go right back to business. And another thing, he used to argue with other Jews and whatnot. And, but then he would say, you know, so-and-so, and cuss each other out. And he said, send me so much print. I said, boy, They argued like that. You would think he would say, "Go to hell. I'm not buying nothing else from you." But he would turn around and order all of this stuff from him. And so the lesson I learned from that, my brother, was that they had a thing they called the non-Jewish people Goyim. They were not going to take their Jewish money and spend it with a Goyim, even though they just got through cussing each other out. And, it's a lesson that we should learn about our own self-interest as a people. And we don't have that because in the plantation life, the slave master always pitted us against one another. So we were always fighting with one another and not caring for one another.
Assalamu alaikum, Minister Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum. Happy birthday all the way from Zanzibar.
May Allah continue to bless you with many more years, and may He be pleased with the work that you've done. Heri ya siku yako ya kuzaliwa.
That's in Swahili. Happy birthday again.
Because the New York Herald Tribune ran an article. This was in 1959, about Malcolm. And it said about the mosque, what they teach you. The Herald Tribune, that's when New York had the Daily News, New York Times, and the Herald Tribune. And then one more paper came out, some in the evening, some journal. And so I read it because of my upbringing under that teacher, George Patrick Sweeney. I was a newspaper reader. So I read this article. I said, wow. So then I started telling the brothers, about these black Muslims and their leader, Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. I was telling them all about it. And so Lefty, who was one of our real weed smoking partners from our neighborhood, Lefty said, "Oh man, you don't know nothing about them. I've been to the meeting." Then I said, "I've been to the meeting too." They said, "Oh, Junior, you lying. You ain't never been to the meeting." I ain't never been to the meeting. And then I started describing the meeting. I said, "It's on 116th and Lenox. You go in this building, there's an elevator. And the elevator takes you up to the 4th floor. And then the guy up there, he checks you." All of this was in the newspaper. And he said, "Man, you ain't been up there." I said, "I'm telling you, I've been there." He said, "I'm going to take you next Sunday because you're lying." And the next Sunday, he came and got me. And he was taking me. The rest of the brothers backed out. They didn't want to go. So just Lefty and I went. He said, "I'm going to take you to hear Malcolm." So we go to the mosque, my first trip. And, they take you down, sit you on the front row, the whole thing with the check-in and so forth. And the brothers were real polite and so forth. And when the minister who was teaching came out, it was Imam Waridin Muhammad. He was Wallace then. He was the minister in Philadelphia. And whenever Malcolm went out of town, he'd always try to bring in a good minister because he used to have big crowds. I mean, he had crowds, brother. 300-400 people. And as I joined the Navy, he had sometimes up to 800 people up there packed. There was no more room on the 4th floor. The brothers either had to go outside and some of them wait in the hallway, but mainly outside because there was no one nowhere to wait. So Imam Muhammad comes out. His name was Wallace D. Muhammad, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was not the youngest. Akbar was his youngest son. So he was teaching, and I'm looking at the brothers they stood on front rostrum post then. And I know Gladstone was one of them, and Sidney. These were big brothers. They were like Malcolm security. And Imam Muhammad was blazing. I don't remember the lecture per se, but the last part is what got me. He took a Bible, because Muslims in the nation, they taught from the Bible and the Quran. He took the Bible and he held it up. And he said something about the Bible and the madness in the Bible. Then he took the Bible and threw it down on the ground, on the rostrum. And everybody in that front row, I said, jump back. And he said, "Look at you, afraid to death." And he goes, "You think a lightning bolt is going to come through the ceiling and strike me dead?" That's the only thing I remember because it frightened me. And then it was time he called for acceptance. And I had no intentions of getting up. I said, these cats are either high off weed or they crazy as hell. This is my thinking sitting there. And because the way the brothers were standing, I said, man, they got to be high off weed. I said, they standing there like this here. And so he asked for who's brave enough, black enough to stand up for the boldest black man in America, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, and he was calling for acceptance, and the people got up. And they got up, and I'm looking, and just about maybe one or two stayed on that front row because he had a few rows of lost found. And I looked down one side, everybody was up but one brother, and I looked down the other side. I said, and then I looked at the security guard, and here's what went through my mind. I said, I better get up, because if I don't, these cats are going to jump on me. They're going to beat the hell out of me in here. So I jumped up. Then, you know, he shook our hand and sent us to the back, and we went through the whole thing. Julian, who's still alive, was the brother who explained everything about the letter and how to write the letter, so forth. And I took the letter and went home. But I was fired up by this time. And so I went around the old neighborhood where we all hung out, where my crew was at. And I was telling them about, they all listening. They said, man, Larry, that's some way out shit. That's some way out stuff. He said, you ain't going back down there, are you? I said, well, I might.
Hi, my name is Rakaya, and I sing and write songs. So I wanted to sing a song for my dad that was inspired by my dad for his big 80th birthday, getting real old. And it's not finished, it doesn't have a title, but I thought it would be relevant. So I hope you enjoy. I'm not Stevie Wonder, okay? I don't play keys like that at all, but I'm gonna try. Gemini, they say I have your eyes. Familiar smile, much like the sun, one of one. Lord, we run 10 million miles 100 times. Searching to find, but have you ever tried? Just going home, just go back home, just go back home. Home, just go back home, just go back home, back home. Looking everywhere but yourself. Just go back home. Just go back home. Back home. Happy birthday, Daddy. Love you.
Because I wanted to help my mother, number one. I mean, she worked hard, came home and cooked food, our clothes, and I wanted to help her. And I wanted to be the good son who helped his mother. I really wanted to do that. So I always had some kind of job. As Minister Farrakhan's brother Alvin said to me one day, he said, man, if you were working for the king of Saudi Arabia, you would have some side action going. In other words, he's paying you all this money, but you still got some side action going. So I never forget, in '63, we had a bazaar, and I got some books, some Holy Qurans, and I started selling Qurans. I got them from Dr. Salam. But that was my motive, and I always had a job. Always had. One aspect is that after I got out of the military, I went to butcher school and I was a butcher, cutting meat. Matter of fact, the day that Kennedy was killed, I was coming out of my class. I'll never forget it because I came out of my class cutting meat, and a white woman ran. She said, "Did you hear? The president was just killed." She was crying, and I said, "What is she talking about?" And she was saying that John F. Kennedy was killed. And so I was a butcher. The minister in '72, the minister wanted to hire me to work with him full time. And so I quit. No. Oh, Allah. What happened was Yusuf Shah asked me to manage the restaurant. And it was a hard decision for me. And, they say, you got the ability, so, and we need a good manager for the restaurant. So I wrote a letter to Nabisco. The chairman of Nabisco at that time was Bickmore, Mormons. And he was the chair of Nabisco. And I wrote him a letter and told him that I was going to quit to take up a job with my religious group. That's all I said. And so I left, started managing a restaurant. One day the minister comes through there and he said, because I was in the ministry, because I was in Malcolm's ministry class. See, all of that I skipped over all of that. And the minister said, and we were meeting in the Bronx because the mosque had been burnt down and so forth. We were meeting in the Bronx mosque. That's where McKinley was the assistant secretary. And he said, how would you like to open up for me Sunday? He said, I'd like to get you back in the ministry. And I said, sure, Brother Minister, I'd be honored to open up for you. So when that Sunday came, I came to the restaurant. I had to get everything set up because our biggest days on Sunday, all the believers would come there to eat after the mosque meeting. And so I got everything set up, brother, the soup and all of the food, because we had a standard menu, lamb legs, what do they call them?
Lamb shanks?
Lamb shanks. We had lamb shanks, fish, we had a standard menu. So I got everything set up and got the brothers, who wait the tables, because you waited tables and you brought the food to them, So Shah rolls in. Shah is over all of this. Yusuf Shah rolls in. He looks me up and down. He said, where you going? Because I got my FY uniform on. I said, Brother Captain Minister Farrakhan asked me if I would open up for him today, and I agreed to open up. He said, open up for him. He said that, well, you can't do both things for me. Either you're going to manage the restaurant, that's your bread and butter to feed your family, or you're going to get back in the ministry. You got to make your mind up what you're going to do. And brother, it was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make in my life, because I wanted to teach, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad heard one of my tapes. I had spoken before the minister something, and he was telling Not Ali was at the table that night. He said, well, this brother speaks good. He's got a real penetrating voice. And once I heard that from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I really wanted to teach.
Wow. What a remarkable life we're hearing about. Just in case you're just now tuning in, this is the 80th birth anniversary celebration and tribute to our brother, student minister, and worldwide activist, Brother Abdul Akbar Muhammad. We have much more on the program for you tonight. In fact, you don't want to leave. Get something to drink, have a nice sip of something cold, soft drink, and come right back to the screen because we've got so much more. Brother Akbar's life has been exemplary in many ways to people like myself and others. And so he has built a family beyond just those who share his lineage and DNA. But I'm so happy tonight that the sister who started off tonight's program is about to come back before these cameras. And she is a witness, Sister Samima is. She is a witness that to be the child of a man as remarkable as Brother Akbar and to grow up in a family as impactful as their family has been quite an adventure. Did I say adventure as in Adventure in Africa tours? She might also touch on that as well. Why don't you join me in welcoming back to the screen our sister who started us off tonight, Sister Samima Aziz. She'll take us into some more reflections. Sister Samima?
And I just have to reiterate that the program has been so beautiful. I am learning things about my father that I didn't know. Brother James, thank you for that reminder about the Ghana mission. There are so many stories that took me a minute to kind of narrow them down. But my father is a man on a mission. He has always been on a mission, and his mission has been about his God, his nation, and his family. And sometimes, we talk amongst family members, that may not be too nice amongst the family, and we have things, and I'm sure other families understand when you have a man at the helm, a father who is committed to a mission. We know that that mission is a good mission. It's a mission for the liberation of our people. And so I just want to share a little bit about my dad and his family and our family life. And I'm going to start by telling you that our brother Akbar was born in Hampton, Virginia on June 9th, 1942, to Lawrence Prescott Sr. and Celeste Brown. They lived in Hampton until my dad was 2 years old, and then they moved to New York. My father married my mother very young. They married at 16 and 18, and they grew up in the Nation of Islam. They were children, they were young people, young adults, and so their lives were shaped by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the morals and the knowledge that we were given as Muslims. My parents stayed married. They were married for 40 plus years. And in that marriage, they gave birth to 7 beautiful, brilliant girls. My sisters were everything to all of us. We were considered the girls. That was our name affectionately, the girls. And we did everything together. Life was beautiful. And we grow up and things happen. Life changes. We had a lot of changes in our family. And that changed the sentiment somewhat. But we pray to Allah that with time and age and experiences and circumstances, that we will come back to the fold where we once began. I want to take a minute to talk about my mother. My mother is strong, is courageous, and was a faithful wife to my father. When my father was gone, my mother always knew with certainty that my father would return, that he was out on a mission, he was working, many times traveling with the minister all over the world, and he would return home. She knew that for certain, inshallah, as the Muslims say. And we knew too that my dad would be back. And when he came back, it was a big celebration. We would run to the door, Daddy, Daddy. And it was a big deal because we didn't see a lot of him. So it was the girls, always the girls. We were together doing everything. Whenever we had events, it was a whole bunch of us. And when the grandchildren came, it was even more, mostly girls. And we do have some grandsons, but for the most part, the girls. We did a lot of family gatherings. My father would call for family summits where we would plan different things around our business. Adventure in Africa Tours was probably the last biggest one we had, and I'll tell you about the other ones a little later. but we met this picture in Memphis, Tennessee, and we were going over business ideas and how we could be stronger as a family in business. During our teenage years, I met my sister Jermaine. We didn't know about her early on, but we met her. We welcomed her, and she was a sister. And now that added our numbers to 8 sisters. And later in 1993, our brother Jihad was born. And in 1999, our sister Rakaya. So now my dad has 10 children. What a big number. And we all just was one family. We had our trials and errors, as all families do, but we hung in there, and we are in love with each other and still working through things. My father was always there at weddings. We had several of them, and many times he would be traveling and would arrive back in town 1 or 2 days just before the ceremony. But with my mom and sisters, we always managed to pull things together. And in the end, it all turned out beautifully. There was one marriage, my sister Samaya, who is deceased now, and may Allah be pleased with her. My dad was in the hospital from her with her marriage. And so he arranged somehow to have himself videotaped from the hospital bed and was present at her marriage. So that was a very special moment for us. Dad has lots of grandchildren. There are 12 grandchildren and 5 great grandchildren. So after the marriages, the babies started coming one by one. So it was always a big deal with the children when Grandpa came around. You know, it was just a ceremony. It was a big deal, again, because we didn't see a lot of him. So when he came, it was a big deal. And he was there for, you know, the births and growing up of the young children. And the grandchildren were just the love of his life. These are his 2 eldest granddaughters, Medea and Naisa, and the babies down below. Now, when Grandpa was not able to be there, he would send his emissary and brother. And that those of you who know Salim was just the life of any and every party, regardless of the age. And we loved him so much. We pray that Allah is pleased with him. But Salim was on the set many times, celebrating with us and just having a good time. Grandpa was there and ushered his grandchildren to Ghana. He and my sister Samaya put together trips to bring children over to Africa. And he was there to welcome all of his grandchildren on their first trip to Ghana. And I lived in Ghana for some time. And so Dad saw Naeem off to his first day of primary school in Accra. And that was all very new culture, new children, just knew everything. And the children were very excited about having the opportunity to live in Africa. Graduations were an expectation. A college graduation was an expectation. My father always told us to get an education, get a good education. And he told us you need to get a good education so that you'll be able to take care of yourself if you needed to, and you have good skills and a background. So I started off with my graduation from Howard University way back in 1984. And my niece followed suit. She graduated from Howard undergrad and Howard Law School. That's Naisa there. And then Ayanna Spelman College and Lamarana from the Georgia State University. So we are very proud of our young people and encourage them to seek education from the cradle to the grave, because that's what our teachings and that's what the Quran urges us to do, to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So let me tell you a little about my relationship with my father. I had the distinct opportunity to serve as both a daughter and personal assistant. And a lot of you know, if you're close to Brother Akbar, and whenever we are together doing trips or anything, he calls me his handler. I don't really like that term, but you know, I'll try to explain what it is. So we just, any of his businesses, we had a number of businesses, starting with Zoom ice cream trucks. We had a bean pie operation at our home in Chicago. I was gone by that time, so it was my sisters who did all aspects of bean pie production on a very large scale. And we had, I think I mentioned the ice cream trucks, and then we had a book business at a time when Black books were not easy to get in stores. There was a time where you had to really, if you couldn't find a Black bookstore in your city, it was difficult to find books. So we started Akbar's Books and Things and sold mostly to prisons. A lot of books went to the prisons around the country. And we started doing Black book fairs, just bringing books by African American authors to cities, mostly in the South. So I was the business. I did all of the administrative work. Whenever we went out, I was expected to have a pen, a paper, cell phones at times, because at any moment there could be a letter, a call, a fax, anything that needed to be done. So that was the relationship that I had mostly with my father. The fun part of it was that every place that I went to for the first time internationally, I went with my father. Here was our first trip to South Africa. We went there to work on a tour, bringing groups over to South Africa, and then to Brazil. We traveled there with Public Enemy, and that was a very interesting, good trip for us. Always to Ghana. We love Ghana. We call Ghana our second home. And there's my sister Samaya, who made Ghana her home and worked and lived and died in Ghana. May Allah be pleased with her as well. One of the fun trips that I did was to go see Mike Tyson fight in London. And I went over with my dad, and needless to say, I was the only sister in the crew. And, you would think that that would be kind of fun, and I could wink at the brothers and whatnot. But my father must have sent some advance notice that his daughter was off limits. And that little fun that I thought I would have turned into a pretty straightforward business trip. But I still had fun. I always enjoyed my father. One of the wonderful things and opportunities I feel real privileged about is to have met the likes of Kwame Ture and Geronimo Pratt, real strong brothers in the fight for our nation and freedom. And I had a chance to sit with them, listen to the conversations and the stories, just valuable, rich information that stays with you for all of your life. I also had the chance to sit at tables with our Captain Dennis, I believe he has a new name now, Mustafa, and our director from the Muhammad University, Muhammad Sadiq. And those are good memories and just good opportunities that I'm very grateful for. In June 2000, I had an accident on the highway involving Ford Explorers and Firestone tires. And so my father put together a legal team and a media team for us to talk about what happened on the highways. And this is at a time when those vehicles were having rollovers and people were dying. And so I had an opportunity to speak in different venues about the problems with the vehicles and safety issues that were involved. During that time, we met Reverend John Alford, who was a beautiful brother. He organized the tour for us to bring the First Lady of Liberia to Montgomery, Alabama. And that's when the accident happened. So he stayed on top of everything, took care of me, made sure that I had care during my hospital stay. And he organized my father getting an honorary doctorate degree from the University of Alabama. So that was a big deal, a big honor. And I just, again, feel blessed to have been a part of all these parts of my father's journey. Mostly my father and I just hung out. We were pals, and I'd go place. Of course, there's always work, but outside of work, there's fun. And I guess I got the handler title because I would remind him about drinking water and eating healthy exercising and going to bed, getting certain number of hours of sleep and that kind of thing. But that's my dad. I understood, the mission that he was on. And I always knew, and I still know that he loves his family, and that his priority is to his God and his nation. And as I opened with, there are some men who are just born for the mission. And when you understand that, it puts things in perspective. And I want to say for my family, my sisters and my children and my nieces and nephews, that I know that it's been a difficult journey with Grandpa, and because he has not been there, and though it has been arduous and difficult and challenging, know that Grandpa has given his life to a mission that's bigger than all of us. And you may not really fully understand at this point in your life, but as Granny always said, just keep living and keep experiencing, and you'll realize the value and contributions that our dad has given to not only African Americans here, but Black people worldwide. So I am thankful for the struggle, and I'm thankful for the contributions that my father made to the struggle for our freedom, justice, and equality. And I want to say to Dad that, you've done well. And so now you've got to leave some work for the younger people. There's a whole nation of soldiers out there, brothers, sisters in the nation and outside of the nation, who are willing to take the baton and continue to work for liberation and freedom for our people. So I want to move on to the next slide. And this is a closing slide because I think this just sums it up. There is my father with his brother and friend and companion and his son, Mustafa, the three of them. They're the three musketeers that traveled all around the world working for the benefit of our people. I do have a statement here that I would like to read from the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam. It says, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the Executive Council, Brother Mustafa Farrakhan, Student Supreme Captain, Brother Ishmael Muhammad, Sister Ava Muhammad, Sister Naima Muhammad, Student National MGT Captain, Sister Amina Baina Muhammad, Sister Aisha Muhammad, Brother Abdul Arif Muhammad, Brother Abdul Rauf Muhammad, Brother Ahmed Muhammad, Brother Sultan Rahman Muhammad, National Imam, Brother Leonard Muhammad, Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Brother Saad Alim Muhammad, Student National Secretary. They send their greetings and celebratory wishes to you, Dad. Thank you. And we are going to end this session for me, and I think my sister Jermaine is coming up next.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings. I just want to talk a little bit about my dad and my relationship. When my dad joined the nation in his early 20s, at that time, he didn't know that I was in the process of becoming. So he went on to join the nation, and he had his family. When he was aware of me, he was in my life in my early ages and through my life. But I just have to tell you a couple of things. When he worked at the bookstore, he had these books, and he would always give me these books, and I would read the books, and I would learn about our history, and they were so interesting. And when I was in the 5th grade, I started the first Black Culture Club, thanks to my dad. He also taught me about journaling. So all through my life, I started to journal. So I appreciate that about him. He always checked on me when he was in town. I lived in New York. He would come and see me. I was married the first time. He was at my first wedding, my second wedding. Before then, I got my college degree from Fordham. He was there. When I got my master's degree, he was there. When I had my first daughter, he was at the hospital. My second daughter, he named my first grandchild. He was at the hospital. He was at the hospital for my second granddaughter. So I just love and honor, respect you, Dad. And I thank you for being in my life and in the family's life. I know that your mission is, everyone would say, oh, your father is doing the work for the nation. It's like, okay, but he's still my dad, but I honor and cherish the time that we spent together and that I still get to call you every day and come to see you. So peace and blessings to you. I say assalamu alaikum, and may the gods, Allah, source energy, the divine feminine, honor you, accept you. We are here in this time-space reality, and we will return to the Most High. I honor you. I love you. Assalamu alaikum.
This is Asa, streaming live from your favorite country in the world, Ghana. You're at the house being built, checking it out. Let's go inside. This is the inside. There's a few of the rooms. Check out the view. Once again, this is Asa tuning in live from Ghana. Thank you for raising me here, bringing the whole family to the culture early on through our whole lives. Thank you. Really appreciate you. Love you.
And so I got active in the mosque. And immediately there was a brother named Bert. Brother Bert had the Saturday's children's class, and he needed some help. So I volunteered to help him, even though I had just joined Malcolm's ministry class. And we had the young children, and Malcolm encouraged us to go to the Museum of Natural History. I don't know if I'm repeating this to you, but so Bert, on Saturday, we would take the students, and I'll never forget it because I looked at the statue outside, and it had Teddy Roosevelt on a horse. And on one side, on his left side, was an American Indian, and on his right side was a black man. And I saw it, and this didn't seem right to me. I didn't know what it was. But after this latest controversy, and next year, the Museum of Natural History will be removing it. But then I went inside, and I was taking the children through because they had an excellent caveman display in there. And I was saying, this is where the white man lived in the caves of Europe. This is how he looked. He was a caveman. And then I passed this large, almost looked like a gorilla, but he was a chimpanzee. And I remember looking at the name on it, and the name on it was Jocko. And I said, wow. But he was a giant chimpanzee. And when I was in the military, where you have to double time through the company area, the captain used to call me Jocko. Not understanding, I said, wow, I wonder if this captain listens to the radio station in New York. At that time, we had a man named Jocko, and he was the DJ. And so I just thought that he called me Jocko because I was black and he heard this DJ. And that's the way I looked at it. But later in life, I found out that he was calling me a chimpanzee or a gorilla because this was a world famous chimpanzee in that museum because the size of him was unbelievable. But later in life, I found out that he was really calling me a monkey. And bearing witness to what is happening now, the roots of racism and how we are perceived. And so I worked with the students on Saturday until I got busy selling Muhammad Speaks, so busy because I was the top salesman. And Malcolm used to give the sales people a chance either to bring guests and recognize or either to open up. And so I got busy and I left off the teaching of the school and went into selling papers. And I sold papers in the greater Jamaica area. I remember my science. I started on Linden and Francis Lewis Boulevard. And I worked straight down Linden Boulevard all the way to the Navy base, selling. I go in each store and I would sell papers. And I emerged as the top paper seller in the mosque.
Happy 80th birthday, Grandpa. We love you. We wish you many more. We wish you many more.
The mosque became like the place where you were awakened. And the teacher representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was Malcolm X. So that's what I spilled into. So all of the brothers, and you would think that some brothers said, man, I don't want to be selling no paper. I mean, we were so loved by the people and the people looked to the paper. We were happy to be out there. And from the paper, we extended that invitation for them to come to the mosque. And such was that Malcolm was able to open up 7B on Northern Boulevard in Corona, 7C in Brooklyn, the Bedford-Stuyvesant area. And on Bedford, I think our mosque was. And then 7D in the Bronx on Prospect Avenue. We were able to open up all over the city because of the fact that the amount of people that came up. And when the minister came to New York, he was sent there in May of 1965. He didn't try to change them or close those places down because Malcolm opened. I mean, Allah blessed him with enough wisdom to see that there's good in this. Even though we got a different, there's an internal contradiction here, but it was good what he did, and we just continued it and ratcheted it up to the next level. And the kind of brotherhood that we had and the love for each other, it was like unbelievable. He's an imam now, Imam Abdul Halim Bashir, named was Arthur 14X in New York. He was the minister over the Brooklyn Mosque. I saw him here. He goes to the Atlanta Masjid, and he said it was something magical that we had in New York. Said it was nothing like it nowhere. And he was talking about the spirit and the amount of people. That's when Imam Siraj was a student in the ministry class. Jeffrey 9X was his ex. And he said it was magical. He lives here in Atlanta now. He said what we had, brother, with our schools, 21 business entities that fuel the money that we need to run the mosque. I remember I was teaching this history and I told them that we were doing approximately 5,000 bean pies a day. And one of the newer brothers who was not in the nation during that time told the brother, when he repeated what I said to this brother, told him, oh man, that's a myth. He said, man, I ain't do no 5,000 pies a day. But he didn't know we had 4 trucks delivering pies to all of the stores in the black community, whether they were bodegas or black-owned stores, they were carrying the bean pie. And that's the kind of numbers that we had. So the mosque was a great place, and people wanted to be there. They wanted to be involved. When people called us for security, or we went upstate New York, when Malcolm was the minister, this is basically before I joined the nation, he was opening up mosques in Connecticut and upstate New York and other places in the country. He was going back and forth to Philly. I'll never forget, and went to Schaumburg because they got his intellectual property there. And I was reading a letter that Malcolm wrote to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about how many guests we had that day, how much charity we took up. But the nation was on the move, and people who wanted to be in and get something done, they affiliated with the nation or actually joined the nation. You know, I was telling the brother, like the number James 2C37X. 2C is 237 brothers with the names that joined the nation. Williams and James and Johns and all of that. Unbelievable numbers, brother.
Happy birthday, Akbar, my friend of more than 40 years. There are many great things that I and others can say about Akbar, but one of the things that stand out most for me about him and his lifelong journey is that Brother Akbar has traveled to more than 154 countries. That's approximately 75% or more of all the countries in the world. That's a unique and extraordinary accomplishment in itself. But Akbar's travel has been for the purpose of promoting the liberation of Black people worldwide. In our centuries-long struggle here in the Western world for liberation, there have been three great ideological traditions. One is the integrationist tradition. And some of the examples of some of the great leaders in that pantheon is Martin Luther King, in our era, and in the 1800s, Frederick Douglass. The second of these great traditions is the Marxist or communist tradition, ideological tradition, which arose in the late 1800s. And in our era, the names that are most familiar to us are Angela Davis, Paul Robeson, George Padmore as examples. And the third of these great ideological traditions, and perhaps the very first one, is the Black nationalist or Pan-Africanist tradition. And some of the great names in that pantheon are Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, Walter Rodney. And now we can say for certain that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Black Liberation Movement worldwide is now a part of that pantheon, and that's Akbar Muhammad. So again, happy birthday, congratulations, and thank you for your service to our people.
Thank you, Attorney Bennett. What a wonderful micro history lesson, a thumbnail, if you will. And dear brothers and sisters, we do have an announcement just in from our headquarters, and I want to share this with you because it is appropriate and salient at this hour. We will be continuing with our program, but we want to bring you up to the minute in these latest developments. I'm reading this message from headquarters. Our beloved, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is not feeling well this evening, and he will not be able to join the program as planned. Our beloved Minister Farrakhan extends a most joy-filled and heartfelt blessed anniversary to our dear brother Akbar. His entire family and our beloved thanks them for all of their many sacrifices over these many, many years. Our beloved also extends his greetings to all of the believers, and he lovingly stated that if there's anything that we would desire to give to our dear brother Akbar, please join him in doing so. All praise is due to Allah. Your support is most appreciated. That message bringing us the latest from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I'm sure you join me in wishing our beloved minister the very best and praying that Allah will bless him with comfort and ease today and every day, and praying that Allah will give to him all of the things that his righteous heart desires, and that he will bring him comfort this evening. Brother Minister, we thank Allah for you, and we know that you have worked no these 67 years in this cause for us. You have done all that you needed to do, and you continue to do for us what we never dreamed that anyone would. So we thank Allah for you, brother minister, and we'll go on with this great program because it is for your friend and brother, our beloved brother Akbar, who you have referred to as the recording angel. The recording angel. I just made a notation to my dear brother during the program that the love of Allah has forged between you, dear brother Minister Farrakhan, and brother Akbar, the faithful, lasting friendship based on program and Islam and brotherhood. There's nothing more valuable than that. And so we continue with our program this evening, brothers and sisters, with another very exciting installment of what we can do tonight to talk. You may have heard, and you saw earlier in the program during Brother Halim's presentation, that our brother William Drayton, known to many in the entertainment world as Flavor Flav, was installed as a chief in Ghana a number of years ago. That is a great honor to accrue to anyone. However, there's much more to be understood about installment as we are understanding it tonight. And so we have brought one of Brother Akbar's friends and brothers, our brother Nana Akbar Kwamina, who is installed as a chief himself. And he's speaking with us tonight from, I believe it's in Cleveland, Ohio. Nana, are you on the line with us right now?
Brother Jamil, I'm on the line. The program has been fascinating, much more than I had anticipated. It's overwhelming, but I'm here.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. A couple of quick questions just so we can move the program along. Tell us, what is the significance rather of being installed as a chief, and how does that honor play out in the life of one so respected?
Well, you're asking a question that probably takes weeks to explain, but let me give a quick greeting. Say greetings to everyone. Akwaba from Ghana, Hotep from Kemet, Assalamu alaikum, and what's up and what's happening, and peace. My brother, who I saw in the montage earlier in his installation, I'm standing seated right behind him over his right shoulder. And I whispered to him during the installment that he need not worry because I had his back, literally and figuratively. But in Ghana, the chieftaincy is a reflection of something that is truly African, in the sense that we are a communal people.
Yes.
Unlike the European that can function based on a principle of me, myself, and I, and not needing anyone else. But African people are a communal people, which means there has to be leadership and effective leadership for us to function at our optimal level.
Wow. Wow. Excellent.
The
Thank you.
chieftaincies have developed over time because most people don't realize that the nation states of Africa today, the 54, 55 countries, did not come into existence until after 1884, 1885, the Berlin Conference. So much of Africa's history has been without nation states as we know them today. There was only one continent of Africa, and the people functioned through empires. So when we say we came from kings and queens, we literally are describing the communal living circumstance of being part of empires. Once the empires came under attack from Songhai, Mali, Old Ghana, now New Ghana in particular, and all the other states, in the interim, individual men would go out and stake a claim to land space where they lived. With their family, the families grew into a unit, and the the head of that family was the father that settled that area.
Yes, sir.
But you can imagine there's hundreds and thousands of small areas throughout the continent where this was taking place. Once you had enough population, others would come to a nice place and ask to stay there. So you'd have a second family. Originally, the fathers only had their own personal families. But as others came, you had other families. And once you had enough families together, it became necessary to organize in a way that would provide for structure, expectations, protection, so forth and so on.
Okay.
At that point, the person that was accredited with starting that area automatically, in a sense, became the leader of the area or the chief of that area.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Once
sir.
there were enough other areas formed, you would have to structure the entire chieftaincy into a larger operation so that there would be harmony between one group, another group, another group, another group. So currently there may be 1,000 chiefs in Ghana, and that may be underestimation of the chiefs. But the chief is similar to a Supreme Court justice that has been nominated, accepted by the people to become their leader. The adage is you don't decide to be a chief. Other people entrust you with the leadership of them, and they agree to follow you. What actually constitutes your chieftaincy is the willingness of others to follow your direction.
Now that is where my question comes in, Nana, because I'm curious about, and I'm sure many in our audience are curious as well, about the process and spirit behind brothers and sisters who are from the diasporic world, returning to the land and becoming respected chiefs. Number one, how does that process happen? And I know that we're up against the clock, but number two, what are the responsibilities of a chief? And how will Brother Akbar be known there in his particular, I believe it's in Asebu is where he is.
It's in the central region.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And of course, Asebu's in the central region, but Minister Akbar's installment is in Cape Coast proper, which is also in the central region. But the process is based on one theory that many of the chiefs adhere to now, and that is that except for only because of the Ma'afa, people were removed from the continent that had they been on the continent, they likely would have been part of what is referred to as the royal family, which is the family that starts a village in the first place. So that becomes a royal family for that community. And all chiefs until the end of time will come out of that royal family.
Mm-hmm.
And so the theory is that Minister Akbar's ancestors that were kidnapped and taken away were most likely part of a royal family. And so when he comes back, oftentimes people recognize characteristics and qualities in a person that leads them to believe this is a descendant of a royal.
Yes.
And the royal is eligible for chieftaincy.
That
or
in a
queen
nutshell.
mothership in a nutshell. There's another reason too now. We are perhaps in Minister Akbar's, we're describing an epic journey of life. All the things that people have talked about, this is an epic journey from childhood all the way to this point. And now we are at the point in history where it's imperative as people of African descent that we think in terms of ourselves as being part of a Pan-African consciousness. We're at the precipice of having the opportunity to do things that have been talked about forever. And we need to recognize, and it's being recognized more and more, that the ancestors that were taken away and experienced the Ma'afa did so during the time that the African continent experienced Ma'afa's twin, the colonialization of the continent.
Yes.
So now we look at ourselves and realize that much of the intellect, the skills, the resources, the training has been afforded to the sons and daughters of those that were taken away in the Ma'afa. So the diaspora has the most educated, the wealthiest, the most skilled population of Black people anywhere in the world. And the African continent has the world's greatest resources, assets, minerals. And so if we could marry these two entities together, it's becoming more and more clear that we could take total control of our own destiny.
And that is that's the goal.
We could push out the detractors and the former masters that are operating neo-colonial states today.
Yes, sir.
And so there's a push underway, myself included, pushing to find as many royals that will come and assume the stools to provide the guidance, the leadership, the direction, the fiduciary duties that will be carried out to bring our people together.
Yes,
and
sir.
give us the liberation and sovereignty that we've been looking for. It's been written about, it's been talked about, everybody has longed for it. And we're at a point that we are very close to being able to do that.
That's
So,
why
Minister,
tonight, Nana, we have to, they're on me about the time, but this is so fascinating because you're rich with information. I'm going to ask that the tech team allow us to stay in touch, but you heard my big brother talk about the diasporic return of the royals.
That's what it is.
The return of the royals, and it don't just mean Jerry Lucas and Oscar Robertson.
Oh, no.
No. This is the royals from all the way back home, and we thank you so much for being with us tonight. Don't go anywhere, Nana. We've got more coming up later. Thank you so very much. Stay right there.
Badasi.
Yes, sir. Akbar. Thank you so much. Man, what a program tonight, huh? What a program. And we continue in fervent prayer, as you know, for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that he be comfortable tonight and that he enjoy these proceedings as a reflection of our love and support and appreciation for his friend and our brother Akbar. Now, dear brothers and sisters, it gives me great pleasure and a great honor to take you all the way over to Kigali in Rwanda. Yes, we're going to go to Cafe Ikawa and hear from Brother Lamont and Sister Adila as they add their voices to the love for Brother Akbar.
Ugira umunsi mwiza, isabukuru nziza. Happy birthday! Assalamu alaikum, Minister Akbar. We want to wish you a happy 80th birthday. Because of you, we are here in Kigali, Rwanda. Thank you for leading the path, showing us that the world is greater than our backyard. So we are here at Ikawa Cafe in the middle of Kigali, Rwanda, and we welcome you to come and check out what Muhammad has brought to Rwanda.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Assalamu alaikum.
Malcolm, 62 and 63, 64, those were years that the nation made progress nationally because it was during the time of the struggle. And the Panther Party and the demonstrations in the South. So the nation ended up being the strong men and women in the street who wouldn't take any nonsense from white folks. And so the nation had a position. most of the leadership, black leadership, were trying to be nice to white folks to get along with them. That's why James Baldwin's piece, I'm Not Your Negro, is an important piece as a document meant to say how people in the struggle felt about what was going on. And so when Malcolm began to speak on television, and it really started when Mike Wallace did the piece, The Hate That Hate Produced. And so everybody was trying to get a chance to film Malcolm and to see what he was saying. So, and this period, 62, 63, and part of 64, because in 64, Malcolm left the nation. But Malcolm worked up and down the East Coast. He sent brothers to the West Coast. So, and people came. I didn't understand some inside dynamics, but later I kind of figured them out. Malcolm was always speaking on 125th Street, and he drew the crowd. Trust me, right on that corner, 7th and 7th and 125th Street. Later became Adam Clayton Powell. But right there on that corner in front of that bookstore, he drew crowds. So the internal dynamics is that we started going to 115th Street. I didn't understand it, but at least I kind of figured it out that the other speakers, the nationalists, they didn't have a platform once Malcolm spoke. And then all of the FOI gathered there. He brought the crowds, our sisters were out there. And it was a lot of people out there to hear Malcolm. So whatever internal dynamic took place, we ended up taking our rallies to 115th on Lenox Avenue, right across from the mosque, and it was packed down there. So, and it gave our brothers an opportunity to be seen by people of the city. Then people would come from different boroughs. And people said, well, why did you think that happened? Because it was what time it was. It was that time in history. Black people all over the country were demonstrating, organizing in cities and so forth, because it was a period in history that we were pushing for our independence. They were pushing for integration and to get a piece of the pie. And then the artist community began to write, not only write books, but write plays and screens and screen treatment, or if you would call them. And so the mosque became like the place where you were awakened. And the teacher representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was Malcolm X.
Precious history of the Nation of Islam in general and Muhammad Mosque number 7 in particular cannot be told without the name Abdul Akbar Muhammad, without the name Brother Larry Foex, without the name Brother Larry. It gives me a great honor to present Brother Akbar to you now, so I'm going to ask that you cease and desist from all activities which may distract you from hearing the voice of our honoree, who will be in front of these cameras in just a few seconds. But a word of introduction must be said. And that word must be brief, but it must be poignant, and it must be impactful. Brother Akbar is an example of a Renaissance man. He's called by our beloved, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the recording angel, because every time you see Akbar, he would have either the red book or the green book. He'd have a pen in his hand, and he would be furiously, if silently, journaling, taking down everything that he saw, taking in everything that he experienced, and then turning it into progress for our nation. As a helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Brother Akbar has few, if any, equals. His position and post for the minister has caused him to be known, as you just heard, all over the planet Earth. Brother Akbar is not a man given to maudlin sentimentality. He's not mushy and gooey. You sometimes can tell Akbar that you love him and he'll just stand there. After all, he is a trained butcher. He's a New Yorker. He used to hang out with Lefty, for heaven's sakes. But he's not a man without love in his heart. And that love is demonstrated in everything that he does in this mission. I'm going to ask you to bring yourself to the camera. Bring yourself to your device. Bring yourself to your television. And let's put our attention on tonight's honoree, my beloved big brother, trainer and teacher and drill sergeant in the ministry of Islam, a man's man, a soldier, a loving father, a great husband, a great, great citizen of this nation of Islam. He is our brother. He is here with us tonight. Join me in welcoming Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad tonight. Brother Akbar. Drill sergeant in the ministry of Islam, a man's man, a soldier, a loving father, a great husband, a great, great citizen of this nation of Islam. He is our brother. He is here with us tonight. Join me in welcoming Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad tonight. Brother Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me okay? You,
A loving father, a great husband, a great, great citizen of this nation of Islam. He is our brother. He is.
thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I hope that you can hear me. If there is a problem, our great technician, Brother Adimar Muhammad, will take care of it. I can go right ahead. First, I'd like to begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I'm honored beyond words. I pray Allah will give me life and time to live up to it. We are really honored on this 80th birthday. I never thought that I would make 80. I never even gave it a thought. But tonight, as I listen to the brothers and sisters and my family walk through my life, I asked Allah to bless me and to give me the strength to continue and to continue to help the people who've shown a tremendous amount of love and kindness to me as their brother, as I went on to help the minister, brother minister, without you at the center. And I wrote a note because when we started rebuilding, you came to St. Louis, and down in my basement or lower level, we invited some of the believers who were willing to work to help and to rebuild the nation. And I remember something that sticks with me. There was one brother that he was looked for everything negative, a lot of negative things you could find. And the minister picked up on it because the minister's spirit is that we're healers. We're brothers and sisters, and we make mistakes, and we ask Allah to forgive us. But we don't go and look for negative things to talk about. It really stuck with me. It touched me that night because we were trying to rebuild, and the minister was looking for good things, positive things that we could do in this rebuilding process. I want to thank my wife and her coming from Ghana. This is different from her at home, what she sees at home in Ghana. I must thank all of my children. I want to thank them, and especially Samima. Samima worked hard for my 70th birthday, and I said, wow, this is really unbelievable. And she's done the same thing for the 80th birthday. And she talked a little about the accident and what happened. But I thank Allah for my children. They tolerate me at times. When she talked about the handler, and the handler is the person who makes up your mind. and she's always busy trying to make my mind up if she think I can do something better or even greater. But I thank the believers across the country. I thank Brother Terry and his wife, Sister Betty. They've been kind to me. They always look out for me, and I'm in that area. And they have been real brother and sister to me. And also Yvette in Boston. The Boston brothers and sisters have been very kind. Don, may Allah bless you for your work, and what you've put in Boston in the minds of the believers is to be great helpers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his servant, Minister Farrakhan. And you always have a kind word to say to me to encourage me to keep going. So I'm really honored this evening. I want to thank Brother Adima. He's been working on me to do this piece and record it. He's got all that it takes to make it happen, and you've seen it tonight. And I want to thank the believers across the country who took time out and spend their evening with me to celebrate Akbar Muhammad's 80th birthday. All of my children, and Jermaine, thank you for those words, those kind words, and may Allah continue to bless you on this journey. And I want to thank you very much.
To present this to you and to spend this evening with you. And we are grateful for the time that we have spent together. I'm asking the tech team to gather some information and place it on a crawler if we have time. An announcement at the bottom of your screen that will allow you to be able to send a token of your appreciation for Brother Akbar and his sacrifice, and to send a token of your hopeful contribution to what he will be doing in central Ghana as he establishes both a library and, a clinic in central Ghana. So Brother Akbar's work is going on. He looks real chill and relaxed tonight, but if you know him, he's up to something and he'll be working. If inspiration wakes him at 3 a.m., he'll get up and work at 3 a.m. So grateful to all of you who have been with us this evening. I'm very, very, very much appreciative of your allowing me to participate in the program. My name is Brother Jamil Muhammad, speaking to you from Washington, D.C., the Mid-Atlantic Regional Headquarters of the Nation of Islam, where our fine Brother Student Minister Abdul Qadir Muhammad, holds sway in the Mid-Atlantic region from Washington, D.C. All of the believers all over the country, and some from around the world, are with you tonight, Brother Akbar, for this occasion. And I think that the information that we seek, we'll have to get it later. We're up against the clock and we don't want to run any further over time. So we asked everyone if you would please assume the position of prayer that is most comfortable for you. The position of prayer that is most comfortable for you, and we will conclude our program in Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. Thank you, Allah, for allowing us to gather. Thank you, believers, for being with us from wherever you were tonight. Thank you, families and friends of Brother Akbar from around the world. Sister Samima, thank you for putting this together. Brother Adima, thank you for pulling it together. Sister Shireen, thank you for pulling it together. So many more of you. Brother Halim and all of those who presented tonight, thank you. May Allah bless you as we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.